Happy Friday, everybody. A beautiful day. Hopefully you're enjoying it. It's very comfortable and very warm. The average high nowadays is right there in the mid 70s. We're above that for this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies at the moment. Just a couple of these fair weather cumulus clouds. It's comfy for the most part, but a little on the warm side, especially if you're in the sun, of course, right around 80 locally. If you go to the beaches, it's a little cooler. The mountains are a little cooler, but not much. Even there, it is in the upper 70s, so this is a widespread warm up. We're really seeing it across the whole country right now, at least the eastern 2/3. Only area of rain I'm tracking is way out of our area. It's up near Chicago and Wisconsin. That is not going to bother us whatsoever for your weekend. So it's dry heading into tomorrow, more like what we saw for today. 50s in the morning, right around 80 for the afternoon. Similar story for Sunday. We just keep this warmer air flowing in from the south and from the west. So low 80s look like a good bet for your Sunday. And then by Monday, we could get a little bit warmer than that with highs in the mid 80s. The next chance for rain is here. We're looking at Tuesday. A brief period of showers will be possible with a cool front. That's going to kind of knock our temperature back quite a little bit. There's your Saturday, starting off in the 50s, ending up right around 80 degrees. I'm calling for a high of 82 and then 83 for your Sunday. Little flash of the 7-day forecast here. We look at 85 on Monday. That's the warmest we've been all year for sure. And that brief period of rain, that's going to be possible Tuesday, mostly in the afternoon. It looks like might have a rumble of thunder, but not expecting severe weather. After that, some cooler days and chillier mornings are back with lows in the 40s.
Are you a risk taker? Today on New Day, Coach Lamont shares a biblical story that challenges us to step out of our comfort zones and into a place of expected results.
The great book tells us of a story of how Jesus walked on water in the midst of a storm. He invited Peter to walk with him, and Peter took the bold step to step out of the boat. See, Peter was a fisherman by trade, and the boat, it was a place of familiarity. Yet he was bold enough to leave the familiar place for the unfamiliar one. It is time for you to step out of your comfort zone and to step into restless waters. In life, you're going to be called upon to do the impossible, and when that call comes, you must be willing to leave what is familiar and obtain the unexpected. We fear stepping out because we are more focused on what is going on around us than what is happening in front of us. Leave the boat and go after the life you desire most. Stop talking and start walking. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best you day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Such a great Friday message from Coach Lamont. I think taking risks are so important. I think a lot of people don't take risks because they fear failing, their fear of the unknown.
Right.
But sometimes you have to take that risk in order to fulfill your dreams. It makes me think about getting into news. A lot of times you have to go to a smaller market in order to get your foot in the door. And mine was Hattiesburg, Mississippi, 950 miles away from my parents' home in Woodbridge, Virginia. Had no family there, no friends, knew not a lot about the state, but I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, so I took that leap of faith. What about you?
This is probably my favorite message that Coach Lamont's ever shared. I took a huge leap of faith leaving Arkansas, moving to Roanoke, Virginia, where I didn't know a soul. I mean, I knew nothing about Virginia. I was so far away from anyone that I knew. And a month to the day that I moved there, I met my husband. So I think that taking a leap of faith, taking those risks, stepping out the boat onto the water, like he was sharing, is so important because you never know what God has planned for you.
You really have to lean on faith, by faith, not by sight, right? That's what they say.
Yep. So take a risk today. You never know what could happen.
We'll be right back.
My mom always told me to never let people tell you that you can't do anything. And really, that's a motto that's just really stuck with me.
North Carolina freshman track athlete Sincere Coutinho is beating the odds. They say when you run, you're only competing with yourself, but for Sincere, it's deeper than that. The 15-year-old has a visual impairment that impacts his ability to see, but it doesn't stop him from realizing his goals. Sincere recently beat his personal record in the 100-meter dash and hopes to run track in college. But if that doesn't work out, his scholarship dreams aren't over because he plays 2 instruments and gets straight A's too. Very impressive. I asked you on my Facebook page, what is an obstacle in life you recently overcame? Brandon Bruce wrote, I stopped caring about what other people thought of me and I started living my life for me. Steve Gardner says, I quit smoking many years ago. Currently, I'm working on my weight. Janice Lawson says, I stopped looking behind and focused on looking forward. Brittany Wall says, I stopped letting my anxiety get the best of me. Marcus Warren says, I had both of my hips replaced. And Sony Corito says, I put away my old self and stepped into my light. I really loved many of the responses that we got today. I can identify with some of them. The one about anxiety. I've shared on the 4 to 5 that I struggle with anxiety and depression. It's not something that I'm shy about sharing with other people, but over the last year or so, I've been really focused on pouring into myself and not letting that anxiety dictate my life. You know, I joined a gym, I work out, I feel good about myself. I'm closer to my family. I'm interacting with my friends, people who really know me for me. And it's just been really great the last year since I've moved here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see things, you know, happening in your life, and you just seem like happier. You have this energy about yourself, so it's great to hear that. Gosh, I just was thinking about, there's a lot of little things that are going on in my life, and I'm not going to share right now, but you know, things that I just have to deal with. It's like you just got to face the day every day. One funny little side note. Recently, both Baylor and I were sick, and that's the first time I've had to not, like, be a mom and be sick and also take care of a sick child, and that itself is a huge thing to overcome, let me tell you, because when I'm sick, I like people to take care of me, right?
Yeah.
But no one takes care of me. I got to take care of everybody else. So I'm just proud of myself for getting through that first, like, I'm sick and she's sick kind of thing.
And we're proud of you too, because this is a new experience for you as well. And though you say you had these sleepless nights, you've been carrying it with a lot of grace.
Well, thank you. I'm just proud of both of us.
Yes, me too. And I'm proud of you all too. We'll be right back after this break. Stick with us.
When he's talking about his childhood abuse, that's a head scratcher. I'm talking. Can you hear me? Is it good? Not good? What happened? We all good? All right. That's what I like to hear. All good.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Throughout the week, parts of Depp's testimony dominated.
Hello, I am stuck in the middle with you. We're going to the middle. Middle. 1, 2.
Our favorite.
Hey, can you hear me? Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm about to, oh, the stream is on. Good afternoon and happy Friday. Thank you for joining us on the 4 to 5. I'm Stacey Spivey alongside Lauren Coleman and Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley joining us again today.
Welcome,
Friday.
welcome. Happy Friday, a nice weather Friday, hot Friday. Thanks for joining us on WFNY News 2 on Fire Stick, Roku, and the WFNY News 2 app. Lots to talk about today, so let's head into our top stories.
Yes, let's go ahead and get to our 4 to 5 roundup. Right now, we're learning more about the final moments before a young family was shot to death. The Davie County Sheriff says 26-year-old Ashad Ewing Meeks shot and killed his girlfriend, their 2 children, and then set the house on fire before turning the gun on himself. Today, we obtained the recording of a call just hours before the murders. In it, you can hear the 26-year-old mother, Ashton Brown, repeatedly asking to speak with the deputy.
Heavy communication. Hi, how do you call in to speak with a deputy or anything? What do you need to speak with an officer about? I'm just needing to speak with them, about a safety reason.
The conversation continued. Brown said she was calling on behalf of her fiance. She said they both wanted to talk with the deputy, but he did not get on the phone. About 30 minutes before that call, surveillance video shows the family at the sheriff's office. Later that same day, deputies responded to the family's home and found everyone dead. This is a developing story, and for a full timeline of what we know happened so far, head to our website.
Right now, the CDC is warning physicians of severe hepatitis cases in children. The agency issued an advisory on Thursday. Hepatitis attacks the liver and can cause abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting. Here in North Carolina, 2 cases involving school-aged children were identified last month. The state health department says the children didn't need a liver transplant and are now recovering. Officials say no cause was found and no common exposures were identified.
Doctors believe the pandemic may have caused a drop in routine childhood immunizations. New data from the CDC shows during the 2020 to 2021 school year, national vaccination coverage among kindergartners dropped from 95% to below 94%. That amounts to 35,000 children without vaccinations against common diseases.
Next week, Johnny Depp is expected back on the stand in his defamation trial against former wife Amber Heard. The actor is suing Heard for $50 million, claiming she damaged his career by writing a Washington Post op-ed about surviving domestic violence. Heard has filed a $100 million county lawsuit against Depp. Throughout the week, parts of Depp's testimony dominated social media, including one moment when he started laughing while on the stand.
There was physical abuse, certainly, which could be in the form of an ashtray being flung at you, it hits you in the head, or you'd get beat with a high-heel shoe or a telephone or whatever's handy.
Right now, we've got Blanca Cobb, body language expert, here to break down Johnny Depp's court testimony moment. Blanca, a lot of people are questioning why he seemed to chuckle when describing that childhood traumatic situation. Kind of elaborate on why this may have happened.
Well, what happens? Well, first, let me start it with this. There's a misconception. People have an idea of how someone should be responding or acting when something bad happens to them. And because we try to make meaning of what's happening in our life, if someone's talking about something bad, but they're laughing about it, there's a disconnect there. Some people will say, well, did it really happen? Or was it really that bad? Or perhaps it's not even true. Well, in this case, we know it is true because Johnny and his sister both are on the stand under oath recounting childhood abuse. So that isn't the issue here. What's happening is it just doesn't make sense, again, when something bad happens and you have a giggle or a smile or a laugh. It just doesn't go together.
Yeah, so what are some of the reasons why anyone would smile when talking about these past abusive situations?
Realize this, many times a victim might smile and they don't even realize they're smiling. Why? Because it's part of coping. Sometimes they're smiling because they can't believe it happened. They can't believe they're talking about it. They can't believe they're on the other side of it. Or perhaps they're smiling as they're telling the person to let the other person know, hey, I know I'm talking about something heavy, but I'm going to be okay. Another reason is that they're minimizing the impact it actually had on them. It's all about coping, and that's what makes it very difficult. Let's talk about a response.
Blanca?
Can you hear me?
Blanca, are you
Okay.
there? Okay, we got you back.
Okay, great. So I'm not sure what you heard, but I'm just gonna pick up. So let's talk about this post that was on my Twitter in response to this observation I made about Johnny Depp giggling at court. Mai says it definitely is a coping mechanism. I do the same when recounting the things I've gone through, because if I don't laugh, then I'll cry and I go into a breakdown. The wounds of coming from an abusive past are deep and they remain for life. This was just one of the responses I got from victims, survivors who said, hey, I respond in a similar manner. It's more common than what people realize.
So Blanca, if you are telling someone about a traumatic experience, or someone is telling you about a traumatic experience, and then their emotions seem different than what you would expect them to be, how do you handle that situation?
The way you handle it is that you just listen. Give them the latitude, give them the platform to talk about it, to express it in the way that makes sense for them in the moment. This is not your opportunity to pass judgment. This isn't a court of law. This is somebody who has enough trust in you that they're going to share something that is very painful about their life. This is just for you to listen. And if you're not understanding something in what they're showing in their body language or mannerism and what they're saying, you can pause at an appropriate time and say, hey, I just want to check in. Is everything okay? I know this has to be hard for you. That empathy that you're showing will go a long way in helping them feel validated and understood. And you really might learn something about how they're coping and the complications of being a victim.
This is very powerful information and advice that we can certainly take throughout the rest of our lives. Thank you so much, Blanca. And you can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, Body Language Expert.
There are many reasons why domestic violence victims often choose not to leave their abusers. Sometimes it's because they don't want to leave their pets behind. Well, now there's a new program in Forsyth County working to make a change to that. The Piedmont Animal Welfare Alliance, also known as PAWA, was created in 2018. They partner with prisons for their program New Leash on Life, in which inmates help train shelter dogs to make them more adoptable. Now they're working to make sure domestic violence victims' pets are taken care of through their program, A New Start in Life. PAWA helps pay for medical costs, food, and boarding if needed. Current president Candid Jones says this allows survivors to focus on healing until they can get back on their own feet again.
They can see that their animal, their pet, their beloved pet is being well taken care of. And it just eases one of their many burdens.
Jones says 71% of animals in a home of domestic violence are also abused. It's one of the reasons victims will stay with their abuser. Plus, she says shelters can't take pets.
They can maybe stay in the basement for a night, but then we have to find foster homes, or if we can't, we have to pay for boarding.
Jones says that they are in desperate need of fosters in Forsyth County. So if you're interested, we have information on our website. And they're also having a fundraiser on Saturday, May 21st. Jones says the yard sale will have antiques and unique finds. We also have those details on our website as well. I just thought that this was so interesting. I didn't know when someone is in a domestic violence situation and they leave and they become survivors and they stay in a shelter, that if they have pets with them, the shelter can't take them in. So oftentimes that prevents someone from leaving their abuser because they don't know what's going to happen to their dog or their cat. And I can kind of sympathize with them, because think about how much comfort a pet brings to you and how much they would bring to you in a domestic violence situation.
Yeah,
so they don't want to leave them behind.
It's something I actually never thought about when it comes to the pets. When people are trying to get out, you know, you think about the children and a lot of shelters that take in children. Pets is something that I hadn't really thought about. So my question is, with this program, when a foster takes in the pet, once the woman gets back on her feet, can she get her dog back?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And they have a way of, they keep kind of communication. So the person that's in the shelter can receive photos or videos of their dog or their cat, or they can also plan to have a meetup with someone that's with Pawa, so that they can see their dog while they're still in the shelter. But it just ensures that someone is actually taking care of them on a day-to-day basis.
I love this. This is very helpful information.
I know. I think it's such a great thing. Again, we have more information on our website, WFNYnews2.com.
And speaking of dogs and cats, it's a wonderful day to go out for a walk with your pets. Isn't that right, Tim?
Take them for a walk. Yes.
Right now we're taking that live look at High Point, where you can see we have blue skies, a little bit of clouds there, but it certainly is a nice day considering the days we had prior to.
Yeah, it's amazing what we live through here. Sometimes in 1 week in North Carolina, we get a little bit of everything. We were in the 40s on Monday, then 50s, 60s, 70s. Now 80s. So there you go. 83 is your current temperature in High Point. We looked at the blue sky, just a couple of puffy clouds along with that. That's all at the moment. Temperatures are warm everywhere. It's not just here, and there really isn't all that much humidity. So while yes, it is very warm outside, it's not oppressive, that's for sure. We have dew points in the 40s, which still makes it feel pretty comfortable. Taking a look at the future, we're looking at tomorrow, maybe some clouds from time to time, but overall, it's still a dry day. Not expecting any threat for rain. Same could be said about Sunday. We will start to keep an eye on this system back to the west by early next week. I think Monday will be a dry and very warm day as well. But once we get to Tuesday, that'll be when we finally have a renewed rain chance around here, but not until then. So enjoy this. 50s tomorrow morning, upper 70s, close to 80 for tomorrow afternoon with a couple scattered clouds in the sky. Great weather this evening, though, if you have a chance to get out and enjoy in the upper 70s for first pitch. This is baseball weather, not bundling up when it's 45 degrees. Enjoy that either at the Hoppers or the Rockers or wherever you want to go. Of course, the pollen is still with us. If you're wondering when it goes away, that's usually in the middle of May, but it should already have peaked in our area. 7-day forecast, again, the only chance for rain is coming up on Tuesday of next week, and it will be cooler after that.
Well, this 80-degree weather and actually your post, Tim, inspired me to ask this question on Facebook. What is your favorite thing about the 80s decade? Jennifer says, hair metal music. Debbie got married in 83, gave her heart to Jesus in 83, graduated from high school in 84, became a mom in 88. She says, great decade. Yeah, I can see why. Aaron writes, no cell phones, no social media, no email, and no Kardashians. Nancy says, not much about the 80s. Now ask me about the 50s and 60s, then we'll talk. Clark loved the music and horror movies. Deborah says, when MTV broke out. And for Margaret, it's the TV shows and the colors, styles, and clothes. Oh yeah, and the music.
That's when MTV actually played music videos
Right?
instead of reality TV
Yeah,
shows
they actually,
all day.
I looked it up, they debuted, I think it was August 1st, 1981. So, the thing that I love about the 80s though, were the movies. I mean, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, all those kind of like retro movies
Breakfast
I like to
Club.
watch.
Yeah, I'm a 90s baby, but about
Yeah,
the 80s,
same.
I love the colors, the style, the bright colors, the big hair. All that
Big
is really
hair.
cool. So when I get invited to a decades party, 80s is usually the year that I like to dress up as.
Definitely fun to look at how people look, right? The big hair was wild
Yeah.
and crazy, and the colors, like you said. But the movie's good too. I mean, you mentioned a lot of the teen movies, but you also had like Indiana Jones and Star Wars, the sequels.
yeah.
And, what else? You know, there are all sorts of things. I love The Goonies, which is a fun
That is a
kids
good
movie.
one.
Oh
That's
my
a
gosh.
classic.
Gosh, we
Seen
could talk
that.
all day about this. And the music is really good too. You have Michael Jackson and Madonna, and I really like the Talking Heads. A lot of good bands back then.
I like the comment that the person made about the no social media, no phones, because back in the day, at least in the 90s, we stayed outside playing all the time, and now it's all about the video games and instant messenger and all that stuff.
It was a different time,
It
that's
was.
for sure.
You had to be creative during that time.
Yeah. Now,
That's
Tim,
true.
you're an 80s baby, aren't you?
Yeah, I was born in the 80s, so I was, you know, I was like 4 in 1990, so I don't remember that much. But my dad did tape all the Christmas specials back then on VHS, and when we would watch like the TV Christmas specials, I always got to look at the commercials from back then.
Oh,
A lot
fun.
of good TV commercials back in the day, that's for sure.
Yeah, so
VHS.
one of the
California
best
raisins and stuff.
one of the best parts about the 80s that you were born.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. We're just so happy
Good
to have
job,
you
my
here.
mom and dad.
Well, keep the conversation going on our Facebook page. Tell us your favorite thing about the 80s. We'll be right back. It's Friday on the 4 to 5, so you know what that means. It's time for another News 2 review with our very own North Carolina certified photojournalist, Manning Franks.
And today we're diving into a mystery movie based on a 1930s novel, Death on the Nile. Will it get News 2 approved? Let's find out.
Don't you just hate it when you join a small wedding party down the Nile and right after vows are said, someone is murdered? Sounds to me like we got a real mystery on our hands. However, I think I speak for Detective Hercule Poirot when I say that there isn't enough champagne to fill the Nile to make this an alluring pleasure cruise.
Hidden it, shouldn't you? Someone is dead. The crime is murder.
In Death on the Nile, renowned detective Hercule Poirot has been longing for a much-desired vacation, and Egypt seems like an exotic destination free from calculated killings. Of course, what is an Agatha Christie mystery without a little murder?
He accuses everyone of murder. It is a problem, I admit.
When a glamorous river ride down the Nile for a newlywed couple takes a dark turn, the wedding party realizes there is a murderer among them. Naturally, their only hope is Poirot himself. As this movie illustrates, the great sleuth could sleepwalk his way to solving a murder. And that's the equivalent plotting that this film seems keen on doing. This adaptation of Death on the Nile juggles countless individuals and hopes to keep the mystery going and characters compelling. The cast weaves in and out of scenes in a very paint-by-numbers fashion, going through the motions without any sense of true urgency. On the plus side, just like its predecessor, Murder on the Orient Express, the character of Hercule Poirot is given a real richness thanks to Kenneth Branagh's bewitchingly endearing performance as the eccentric detective. If only the rest of the cast were given that same treatment. Instead, we have a bland batch of supporting players really suck the soul out of this Christie adaptation. Even the very noticeable special effects feel artificial, like the entire thing was manufactured on an assembly line, and even the adept direction of Branagh, who also sits in the director's chair for this film, can't save a haphazard mystery. I love Agatha Christie mysteries and her character of Hercule Poirot, which is why I would recommend to go back and watch the 1978 version of the same film for a more absorbing and exciting adventure. This one just feels hollow and, quite frankly, unnecessary, despite an engaging performance from Kenneth Branagh. I'm giving this adaptation of Death on the Nile an indifferent for you to decide. This film can be streamed on Hulu and is available to rent both digitally and on Blu-ray DVD.
Well, the weather is nice and warm right now during the day, but it's also going to be great weather in the evening and in the morning. Monique Robinson has a couple things we can catch in the sky tonight and tomorrow.
We're ending out the month of April with a light show. Jumping first right into what you've probably already been seeing late at night, but didn't really recognize what exactly you were seeing in your night sky. That, in fact, was these 4 planets, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and Saturn, in addition to the moon. Now, Jupiter and Venus are going to be the brightest as they are closer to the eye view, but as you can see, Mars and Saturn are also in this line. Now, Neptune is also visible, but it is just so small that it's kind of hard to see with the naked eye. Some other things that you'll be able to see in the sky, especially for this weekend, is the Lyrid meteor shower. Starting late tonight and going into your Saturday, right after midnight but before moonrise at 2 a.m., that's the best timing to see this particular meteor shower. It's going to radiate from the near bright star Vega in the constellation Lyra the Harp, and you can expect to see 15 to 20 meteors per hour from dark locations. If you have to be in the city or any urban areas, you may not get to see this meteor shower, but of course, throughout the year, we have tons of opportunities to see some beautiful light shows across the area.
Very cool.
So people love meteor showers.
Yes.
I don't want to temper excitement, but this is not one of the best throughout the year, but it is a chance to see some shooting stars. And if you want to catch this, it's really best between midnight tonight and 2 a.m.
Oh.
So that's for the night owls. And I will say too, you don't want to be in the city. So you want to be a little bit rural, you want to be away from city lights, street lights, that kind of thing. And then tomorrow morning, again, if you wake up really early, like 6 a.m., that's when you can see all 4 planets lined up. And that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Does it matter like if you're facing north, east, west, or does that none of that matter?
For the meteor shower, I always just recommend look at the darkest part of your sky.
Okay.
So like if the city's over there, look over there. And then for the planets, you actually do need to look in the southeast sky.
Okay.
That's very important. Yes.
So cool. Well, let us know if you see anything.
Yeah, a bunch of people saw them last night, so check it out.
My 2 cents is next. Be aware of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Greensboro.
Check. Hello, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hi there, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas sucks, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland.
I was like, sorry, when I have this in, I'm like half deaf. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
it's time for my 2 cents. And today I want to talk a little bit about the NIL situation. If you're not familiar with that, NIL stands for name, image, likeness. The NCAA has kind of opened the doors and allowed state by state to determine whether they will allow their college athletes to get paid for their name, image, or likeness on any kind of merchandise, mugs or t-shirts or pencils or whatever it is. And I don't have a problem with this. Some people do. I do not. I actually think there are some good things that can come out of this. I will say this, not all states have opened themselves up to the NIL situation. And I think they're going to have to, because a lot of athletes will go, whoa, well, North Carolina allows us to do this, but this state doesn't. I'd rather be at a state that allows this so I can make money. So those other states, in my opinion, better get on board because the NCAA has already opened Pandora's box, right? Now, the good thing about this is, first of all, if a player maybe is a great college player, I mean, there are plenty of great college players that don't cut it in the pros, no matter what the sport is. Well, this gives them a chance to make money. Even if they were to go to, say, an overseas league or in the NBA, like a G League, they're not going to make big bucks. They'll make a fraction of what the pro players are making, so give them a chance to make that. But the bigger impact, and the thing I like the most, is that some players who could go to the pro level, and maybe they're kind of borderline, will stay back in college and play again. Instead of the one and dones that happen all the time in college basketball, for example, let them come back and build dynasties at these programs and stay with the university a little bit longer. And they will, because if their pro stock isn't as good as they want it to be, they'll still make money doing the name, image, and likeness thing. And I think that's a good thing for college sports, for kids to stay in it as long as they can before they go to pro. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.